You swallow your eye vitamins every morning. You bought the expensive lutein and zeaxanthin capsules. You followed the instructions, you've stayed consistent, yet your vision is still getting blurrier. Your eyes feel constantly strained after a day of screens, and driving at night still makes your heart race. You start reaching for thicker, stronger glasses every year and wonder, what am I doing wrong? Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not always the ingredients. It's the delivery system. For decades the supplement industry taught us to take the pill, swallow the capsule and trust the numbers on the label. But human biology doesn't work like a vending machine. When you swallow a dry, compact pill, the active nutrients have to survive a dangerous journey. Acid, enzymes, fat solubility problems, and a gut that changes with age, stress and medication. A huge portion of what's inside that capsule never reaches the tiny blood vessels that feed your eyes. Here's what most people, and even many clinicians, miss. The macula at the center of your vision is fed by an incredibly fine network of micro-capillaries. These capillaries are microscopic, thinner than a human hair, and they prefer small, soluble, and fast-moving molecules. Big, poorly dissolved powder particles simply can't get in reliably. Think of it like trying to push gravel through a drinking straw. The capsule dumps a pile of dry, bulky particles into your gut, and only a fraction is transformed into micelles, droplets or soluble molecules your body can absorb. Worse, as we age, stomach acidity, slower motility, medication use, and changes to the gut lining all make that fraction smaller. The result? Your eyes stay starved, not because the nutrients don't exist, but because they never arrive where they're needed. I see it every day in my clinic. Patients who have done everything right, the diet changes, the brand name capsules, but still complain of persistent blur, midday heaviness behind the eyes, or that terrible glare at night. They're not imagining it. Their macula and ocular tissues are not getting a reliable feed. The problem isn't hope or effort. The problem is physics and physiology. So the real question isn't, do lutein and zeaxanthin work? The real question is, how do you get them to the places that need them most, the microscopic capillaries inside your eye? And that's where the pill illusion unravels. A growing body of pharmacology and nutrition science shows oral bioavailability is highly formulation dependent, meaning identical ingredients can deliver very different results depending on whether they're in an oil, a nanoemulsion, a soft gel, a tablet, or a liquid drop. For carotenoids in particular, oil-based and better formulated products absorb more efficiently than dry powders, and delivery route matters when you're trying to reach tiny ocular capillaries. Over the next few minutes I'll show you exactly why the pill often fails, what happens inside those micro-capillaries when your eyes are under siege from screens, and, most importantly, what a smarter delivery system looks like. If you've ever felt let down by a bottle of costly pills, stick with me. This is the biology they forgot to tell you. Now let's zoom in. And when I say zoom in, I mean way in. Beyond what your glasses can fix, beyond what you see in the mirror, into the living micro-architecture of your eye. At the center of your vision is a small but extraordinarily powerful structure called the macula. This is the part of your eye responsible for sharp detail, reading, facial recognition, and night clarity. Inside the macula are millions of photoreceptor cells, rods and cones, that convert light into electrical signals your brain understands. These cells are among the most metabolically active cells in the human body. That means they require a constant, uninterrupted supply of oxygen and micronutrients. And how do they receive that supply? Through an incredibly delicate, intricate network of microscopic blood vessels known as capillaries, especially the choriocapillaris layer that lies just beneath the retina. These capillaries are astonishingly small. Many measure just 5 to 10 micrometers in diameter, thinner than a human hair. In fact, red blood cells often have to pass through them single file. This is where the paradigm shifts. If nutrients are not fully dissolved, properly emulsified, and transported in a bioavailable form, they simply do not circulate efficiently into this microvascular network. Imagine pouring sand into a system designed for liquid. The cardiovascular system is not a conveyor belt for chunks. It's a dynamic filtration network that favors molecules that are soluble, small, and properly bound to transport proteins. This is why delivery format matters so much. It's not about swallowing more milligrams. It's about whether those milligrams become bioavailable molecules that can actually reach the retina. As we age, especially after 40, microcirculation efficiency can decline. Blood flow dynamics change. Oxidative stress increases. The capillary walls become more vulnerable. That means the eye becomes even more dependent on efficient nutrient transport. Now think about this. If your supplement loses potency during digestion, and only a fraction becomes absorbable, and then only a fraction of that reaches systemic circulation, and then only a fraction of that reaches the micro-capillaries of the macula, you can see how the final delivery to your retina may be surprisingly small. This isn't theoretical. In pharmacology, this is called bioavailability, the proportion of a substance that enters circulation and is able to have an active effect. And for many nutrients, especially fat-soluble carotenoids like lutein, formulation dramatically changes bioavailability. Your macula depends heavily on carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin to filter blue light and neutralize oxidative stress. But those compounds are fat-soluble. If they're delivered in a poorly digested dry matrix, absorption becomes unpredictable. So if your eyes are still strained, if night driving still feels like looking through glare and halos, if screens leave you exhausted by 3 p.m., it may not mean your eyes are failing. It may mean your delivery system is. When we understand the microcapillary reality of the eye, we stop blaming age alone. We start asking smarter questions. How do we support microcirculation? How do we improve nutrient solubility? How do we ensure the macula actually receives what it needs? Because here's the deeper issue. Even if nutrients reach the bloodstream, modern life is creating an entirely new stressor that overwhelms this delicate system. And that stressor is digital strain. We just covered the microcapillaries, the tiny highways that feed your macula. Now let's meet the villain that attacks that highway every day: modern screens and the dehydration cascade they trigger inside your eyes. When you stare at screens for long periods, two things happen that matter for the health of those microscopic capillaries. First, exposure to short-wave, blue light raises reactive oxygen species, essentially free radicals, in retinal tissues and the retinal pigment epithelium. That oxidative stress damages mitochondria, proteins, and cell membranes unless it's rapidly neutralized. Second, screen use commonly causes reduced blink rate and tear film instability, which leads to a drier ocular surface. That's not just itchy eyes. When the tear film becomes unstable or hyperosmolar, water is drawn out of surface cells, a process I call cellular dehydration. Over time, this drives inflammation, disrupts cell membranes, and reduces the eye's ability to repair itself. Why does this matter to the macula's capillaries? Because cellular dehydration and oxidative damage increase metabolic demand and local inflammation. The tiny capillaries must work harder to clear waste, deliver oxygen, and bring antioxidants, but when the supply chain is weak, the result is chronic low-grade ischemia, poor nutrient exchange, and progressive fatigue of photoreceptors. I see this clinically. Patients who spend 8 to 10 hours on screens complain of midday blur, difficulty refocusing between near and far, and worsening night glare. Objectively, their tear film is unstable and imaging shows subtle microvascular sluggishness. It's not magic, it's cumulative biological stress. Put simply, blue light-driven ROS injure cells. Reduced blinking and tear instability dehydrate cells. Both processes spark inflammation. That combination accelerates the demand on your microcapillaries and magnifies the consequences of poor nutrient delivery. Now layer this on top of the pill problem we already discussed. Your eyes need rapid, soluble antioxidants and small molecules to neutralize free radicals and to support membrane integrity. Slow, poorly absorbed powder particles aren't equipped to show up quickly and in the right form, especially when the tissues are screaming for help. Research shows that blue light exposure can increase oxidative markers in retinal tissue, and that tear film dysfunction is linked to ocular surface inflammation and visual disturbance. Importantly, many studies also indicate that reducing oxidative load and improving hydration can reduce symptoms of digital eye strain. You may have read conflicting headlines. Some reviews say ordinary screen use probably won't permanently damage your retina. That's true for low exposures. But the modern reality for many over 40 viewers is chronic, repeated exposure combined with age-related vulnerability and tear film decline. And that's a different risk equation. This is the good news. These processes are modifiable. If you can reduce oxidative load, support membrane hydration, and provide rapidly available antioxidants right where the capillaries can deliver them, you blunt the vicious cycle. That's why delivery speed and solubility, not just milligrams, become the tactical focus for real improvement. In the next section I'll explain how a liquid, micro-dosed nutrient strategy can bypass the bottlenecks we've described and quickly supply the ocular microcapillaries. You'll see why delivery, not unrealistic doses, unlocks faster relief. Okay, we've shown the problem: microscopic capillaries, digestion bottlenecks, and a modern digital stress that creates urgent demand. Now here's the practical pivot. You don't need bigger doses in a bigger pill. You need better delivery. That's the whole idea behind a micro-dosed liquid protocol. Meet EyeFortin, a liquid dropper protocol designed around basic pharmacology. Make nutrients small, soluble, and absorbable so they reach circulation fast. Instead of a dry powder that must be ground into usable fragments by your stomach, liquid extracts and properly emulsified carotenoids can be absorbed more predictably, some even sublingually, and appear in the bloodstream sooner. Important: this is not a miracle cure. What the liquid format does is increase the odds that the active molecules become bioavailable quickly, and when the molecules are circulating in a bioavailable form, they're far more likely to navigate the tiny choriocapillaris and support the retinal environment. How does it work, practically? There are 3 pharmacological principles at play. Principle 1. Solubility and AMP. Emulsification. Carotenoids are fat-soluble. When they're delivered inside a well-designed oil phase or nanoemulsion, they form tiny droplets that the body can absorb more reliably than dry crystals. That's why formulations that use oils, phospholipids, or nanocarriers beat raw powders in many bioavailability studies. Principle 2. Route and AMP. Speed. Liquid drops, particularly when used sublingually or swallowed as an easily dispersible emulsion, can lead to faster peak plasma concentrations. Faster peak equals quicker availability to microcapillaries that need it during acute oxidative stress from screen work. Principle 3. Micro-dosing and AMP. Steady supply. Instead of one giant bolus once a day, micro-dosed drops let you maintain a steadier, more usable plasma level throughout the day. That steady supply reduces peaks and valleys and keeps the macula better nourished during long screen sessions. EyeFortin is formulated to combine these principles: oil-based carotenoid delivery, supportive amino acids and antioxidants in soluble form, and a dropper for controlled microdosing. The goal is to give your body the form of nutrients it actually needs to navigate the micro-capillary gatekeepers. We built the protocol with safety in mind: measured microdoses, clean extracts, and avoidance of bulky excipients that slow absorption. But as always, if you're on blood thinners, immunosuppressants, or have complex eye disease, check with your clinician before starting any new supplement regimen. What can you reasonably expect? Many people report subtle improvements in midday clarity, less eye fatigue after long sessions, and reduced glare sensitivity over weeks of consistent use. Remember, this is about reducing strain and supporting microcirculation, not replacing medical care for diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, or other diagnosed eye disease. A practical approach: use microdose liquid drops in the morning and mid-afternoon during heavy screen days, combined with better blinking and hydration strategies we'll discuss in the final chapter. That pairing is what gives you the best chance of actually getting nutrients to the tiny capillaries when they need them most. If you're tired of the pill treadmill, buying bigger, thicker glasses every year, and you want a delivery-first strategy built around pharmacological principles, check the link in the description to learn more about the EyeFortin protocol. There's science behind why delivery matters, and there's a simple, low-burden way to change your delivery system. Next, we'll round this out with practical daily habits that work synergistically with a liquid protocol. Simple things you can implement today to reduce strain and support circulation. Let's pull everything together. We've seen that the problem is not always bad ingredients, it's physics and biology, tiny micro-capillaries, digestive loss, and a modern load of blue light and cellular dehydration. Changing what you swallow without changing how it's delivered is often why pills fail. Here's the takeaway you can use today: focus on delivery and daily habits. A delivery-first strategy, like a microdose liquid protocol, increases the chance nutrients actually reach the tiny capillaries. And the right daily practices reduce demand so those nutrients can do their job. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It's simple, but it relaxes your ciliary muscles, resets focus, and reduces near-work fatigue. Consciously blink more when you're on screens, set a gentle reminder or use an app. Consider warm compresses and lid hygiene if your eyes feel dry. They help restore tear film stability and comfort. Drink water throughout the day and include omega-3 rich foods, fatty fish, flaxseed, walnuts, which support tear quality and membrane health. Food first is always a strong foundation. Position your screen slightly below eye level, reduce overhead glare, and keep ambient lighting balanced. At night, reduce blue light exposure or use warm modes to lower acute oxidative stress. If you choose a liquid protocol, microdosing in small amounts across the day can create a steadier supply to the bloodstream than one large pill. Use the drops on heavier screen days, morning and mid-afternoon are practical windows, and always follow label guidance. Expect incremental improvements: less midday blur, easier refocusing, and reduced glare sensitivity over weeks of consistent use and better habits. Results vary. Some people notice subtle relief in days, others over weeks. If you want to explore a delivery-first option, check the link in the description to learn more about the EyeFortin liquid protocol, how it's formulated, and whether it might fit your routine. There's no single fix for every eye, but smarter delivery plus daily habits can move the needle. If this video helped you reframe the pill question, give it a like, subscribe for weekly clinical biohacking tips, and tell me in the comments, what habit will you start today? 20-20-20, more blinking, or trying microdosing? You don't have to accept the slow slide into thicker glasses without asking smarter questions about biology. Small changes in delivery and daily routine can add up to meaningful relief. Disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and does not provide medical advice. I am not diagnosing or treating conditions on this channel. Supplements, including liquid protocols, can interact with medications and medical conditions. If you have diagnosed eye disease, for example diabetic eye disease, advanced macular degeneration, or a recent retinal problem, if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or take blood thinners or other prescription medicines, consult your ophthalmologist or primary care physician before starting any new supplement. Individual results vary. See the video description for citations, product information, and links to further reading.